as a tool and as an area of study as well. So as area of study, technology is growing and advanced because of education, both formal and informal. Technology improve because of learning process. As we all know that learning is important in reinventing technology. And as a tool, technology provide people knowledge, provide people access to information, and accelerate learning process as well, both online and offline. With integration of technology in education and training, we believe that we will have a good transformative society. Colleagues, technology, including digital technology, is a powerful tool for empowering people, but digital technology also can be one of the tools that sharpen the gaps of people, the rich and the poor, the urban and the rural, the south and the north, etc. What I am saying is about how we as a civil society organization aware about the negative externality of technology, especially digital technology. Because in our education and training today, the digital technology in some cases triggered accessibility gap and still expensive for common people. So during G20 Indonesia 2022, C20 established a working group on education, digitalization, and civic space. The main agenda of the working group is to propose the principle of inclusive digital transformation. The inclusive digital transformation will empower and will give opportunity for all people, for all citizens, including persons with disabilities, child, youth, women, and marginalized group. And we believe with inclusive transformative digital transformation, the life will be better. Because inclusive digital transformation can protect our humans and humanity in the one breath. C20 Indonesia 2022 called to the G20 leader to take action to provide universal, inclusive, and safe quality education training. So education must bundle with a training because the training will provide people set of skill to fit with the labor market, to fit with the generating income in the society, in the market. And we also promote youth empowerment as well as women empowerment to overcome impact of pandemic, to overcome impact of climate crisis and conflicts. Not only war, but a conflict in the broad sense. So we also need to push a G20 leader to more open their door to collaborate with civil society organization and the business sector. In previous experiences, government usually more favor to collaborate with the business. So we need to balance the collaboration between CSOs, government and private sector to provide the digital connectivity infrastructure to deliver offline and online learning facilities for equal access to education and training. So during G20 India this year, I'm really appreciate to you all because you maintains the continuity and sustainability works of civil society organization through G20 process. So we have a three working group: technology, security and transparency, education and digital transformation, gender equality, and women empowerment, that have a strong link with our topic today. So we as a CSO, in our discussion in the working group, believe that digital technology can support the transformation of society once again, which means that inclusive and human-centered digital technology must in place, and we must also reduce the digital divide and promote a digital public goods and commons. So learning equity is must in transformative society. If we cannot ensure the equity of learning, we will going nowhere. So that's all from my side. As an overview, I will hand over to my colleagues, Dr. Mong, International Committee of C20 India 2023, to lead our process. I thank you, and I hope we have a fruitful discussion. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Maftuhan, for setting the stage and also ensuring the continuity of the work between C20 Indonesia and C20 India. This indeed is a very auspicious moment as we come to conclude the work, the extensive work that was undertaken over the last 6 months, involving more than 1,000 consultations, engaging more than 500,000 people in India and around the world to talk about these important topics. It has been a unique opportunity indeed, both in terms of having India for the very first time presiding G20, but in particular also having Amma as the chair of our C20. Amma as the embodiment of compassion in action, I always like to say. And that has very much inspired our work. So my name is Joost Monks. I'll be very short because we're always a bit pressed by time. My name is Joost Monks. I'm a member of the International Advisory Council, and in my usual life, I work for an NGO in the humanitarian sector in Geneva. Without further ado, we are very honored and pleasure to have a very distinguished panel here. May I welcome the three speakers of this morning. First of all, Madame Elisabeth Moreno from France. Honorable Minister for Gender Equality, Diversity and Equal Opportunities in the government of Prime Minister Jean Castex from 2020 to 2022. I will give you the word in just a few seconds. The second speaker I'm very pleased to welcome is Dr. Nguyen Antoine, founder and CEO of the Boston Global Group in the United States of America. Last but not least, and I'm very pleasured as a Swiss citizen to welcome a very strong representative in Parliament for the voices of the most vulnerable, Mr. Niklaus Samuel Gugger, who is an honorable member of the Swiss Parliament. So how will we do this? We have three speeches, and first of all, I would like to welcome Madame Elisabeth Moreno. As said, they will speak for about 20 minutes, and I will be sharp on time with your permission. So if I see you overrun a little bit, please allow me to intervene. After that, we will have a few concluding remarks and probably also some final statements from the panelists to conclude this session. So, first of all, welcome again, Madame Elisabeth Moreno. She is a visionary politician as Minister for Gender Equality, Diversity and Equal Opportunities for the government of France from 2020 to 2022. Previously, she was successively an entrepreneur, a CEO of a major international group, and a consular judge. In 2023, she founded La Puissance du Lien, an NGO aiming at strengthening human links between women and men, intergenerational and territorial links by transmitting, inspiring, and celebrating women around institutional, associative, and corporate actors. In June 2023, she was elected president of the Femmes et Numérique Foundation, which works to accelerate the feminization in digital professions. Self-made woman, resilient and optimistic, her leadership inspires many people around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Namaskaram. Honorable dignitaries, distinguished guests, dear panelists, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, it's a real pleasure to attend this C20 summit here in Jaipur with you all, few weeks after President Macron honored the Indo-French friendship at the occasion of July 14 in France, together with your Prime Minister. I'm very grateful and I feel honored to stand before you today to address a topic very close to my heart, not only as a woman, as a former minister in charge of gender equality, as a mother of 2 girls, but also as a person who respects every kind of human being, independently of his gender, culture, religion, or social origins. I want to thank our dear Amma and the entire C20 team members who worked tirelessly to put together some valuable recommendations that hopefully will help our political leaders to make this world a better place for all its people across the planet. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world." As a child of parents who never had the opportunity to attend school, I can attest profound truth of this statement. Illiteracy was their life sentence, a burden my father and mother bore for many years before they could rewrite their narratives. Yet, it pains me to see that this potent weapon, education, remains out of reach for so many people. In this interconnected world, we talk about big numbers, but here is one that should give us all pause: 130 million. That's the number of girls right now across the planet who are not in school. A number of girls who do not have access to this fundamental right, human right, that education is. In some continents, it is worse than others. In the poorest countries in the world, girls are deprived from education just because they are girls and they are considered as helpful resource or just mothers. And so, we are here today because in this world of mutations, with so many interconnected crises, change is more than ever needed. How do you think we can make this change? How can we uplift the most marginalized, empower the most oppressed, and transform our societies for the better? The answer, I believe, lies in the intersection of education and technology. I was born in Africa, a continent rich in culture and resources, but still one of the poorest in the world. Illiteracy, like a specter, haunts countless individuals, shackling their potential. With no surprise, girls are the most impacted by this plague. These facts are not new. Many international organizations have been speaking about it for decades, and we may wonder why, decades and decades later, the situation is not progressing. In fact, studies have proven that poor countries could collectively be richer by almost 250 million euros per day if they were able to educate girls to the same extent as boys. I sometimes believe this is the reason why the continent of my ancestors is still suffering so much deprivation, suffering, and despair, to a point where thousands and thousands of its people are dying at seas every week, trying to find a way to survive abroad. I am one of those immigrants who survived immigration. I arrived in France at the age of 7, and I grew up in Europe. These two continents have very different levels of development, cultures, and tradition. Obviously, we cannot compare the 27 European and the 54 African nations. Apart from our shared humanity, everything differentiates Europe from Africa. The size of the two continents, the level of development, natural resources, and demographics. The median age of the EU population reached 44.4 years in 2022. The median age of African people is about 19. With such a young population, I'm sure we can all understand how critical it is to make sure that every boy and girl has access to education. Indeed, there are many differences between Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas. But there is one troubling threat that binds these different continents: the persisting gender inequality. Be it in France, Italy, or Poland, DRC, South Africa, or Angola, Singapore, United States, or Brazil, everywhere in the planet, women are treated differently from men. They are deemed less capable. Their dreams are considered less valid, and their lives often seen as less important. India is a good example of the paradoxical way women can be treated. In India, you may find so many goddesses, but they can also be victims of terrible violence. A recent gender social norm index found that 9 out of 10 people, regardless of gender, have a bias against women. This figure remains unchanged from data collected more than a decade ago. The UN Development Programme found that half of the people in 80 countries believe men make better political leaders, 40% believe men make better business executives, and a quarter believe it is justified for men to beat their wives. It is 2023, and yet we are still grappling with these archaic, discriminatory views that keep us from moving forward. How can women dream of one earth, one family, and one future when 1 in 3 women globally experience physical or mental violence? When rape, domestic abuse, forced marriage, limited access to education is part of their daily lives. The list of inequalities goes on, and the sad thing is, many people find these inequalities normal. This situation and views persist due to social and cultural norms that devalue women and reinforce men's power, control, and feelings of entitlement. Don't take me wrong. I have no problem with men. I love men, actually. But the problem is, we cannot continue to accept a world where women cannot find their seat. These beliefs trivialize and normalize violence against women, even blaming victims for their own abuse. It is this attitude that can drive violent acts and behaviors, and we can truly prevent this violence by shifting these attitudes. And there is no fatality. Indeed, some progress has been noted this past decade. Our situation is much better than the one of our mothers and grandmothers. The Toulouse School of Economics noted that only 12 countries in the world, I'm sorry, but they are all in the EU, offered perfectly equality in law between men and women in 2022, compared to 0 in 1945. Never before we have spoken so much about girls' and women's rights. And the decision of the UN to add gender equality in its 2030 Sustainable Development Goals shows the increasing importance of the topic. Does this legal equality translate into equality of career or choice for women? No. There is a form of discrimination which is cultural, that persists over time, and is very, very hard to shake off. The French Parliament has voted over the years for measures intended to promote parity in terms of electoral mandates. Measures have also been decided at the national and European level to provide for quotas of women on board of directors, but still the situation is terrible for women. And despite these efforts, the world is completely off track in achieving gender equality by 2030, as agreed upon the UN Sustainable Development Goals. At global level, our current rate of progress is very weak, and it will take us another 186 years to close gaps in legal protections for women and girls, because social norms continue to be deeply entrenched and pervasive. But we must remain optimistic and continue to take actions with courage and determination so we can make the world fairer and more inclusive. Technology and education hold one big part of the answer. When we empower girls at their very early age, when we give them trust and confidence on their abilities, when we provide women with knowledge, with the skills to leverage technologies, we're giving them a chance to change not only their world, but also their family, hence the entire society, just as my parents did. I was not supposed to break the glass ceilings my social conditions had put over my head. But thanks to education, values, and hard work, I could change my destiny. I could lead one of the largest technology companies in the world, in France and Africa. And I could become a minister. We are not powerless. We have never had access to so many resources to affect change. We can make a conscious effort and a strong commitment to overcome entrenched bias. We can use technology to bridge the gap to democratize access to education. We can arm every girl, every woman with the knowledge she needs to rise, to break the chains that society has bound her with. But technology alone is not enough. It needs human consciousness and accompaniment. Technology is just a tool. ChatGPT may help you write a beautiful letter, but it will never teach you the value of spirituality, of respect and integrity. As such, we need to be conscious of the goods and the bads of technology. But the progress of technology is also good for our humanity. It can empower us more than any past industrial revolution. Not everybody could buy a train or a car when it was created, but most of the people nowadays can have access to internet, to a laptop or a mobile phone. The fourth technological revolution should be accessible to the largest number of people, independently of where they are born and where they live, independently of their gender, their age, or social belonging. Technology can give access to a course for a little girl that lives in a rural area. With a good internet connection, she can have access to a strong teacher by distance. Technology is reshaping our world. It is changing us as humans. It is changing the way we communicate, the way we study, the way we get information, and the way we work. The problem is we only have 27% women in the world working in the STEM field. 1 job out of 3 that will be created in the coming years will have a STEM component. If we do not have more girls and women studying and working in this field, inequalities will explode in the coming years, and nobody wants that. Women are not weak. They are not dependent. They are not less capable than men. They are just different. They are resourceful, resilient, capable of great feats if they are given the chance. They are, as the former UN Secretary General put it, the world's largest untapped resource. So let's tap into that resource. Let's educate our girls. Let's equip them with the skills they need to leverage technology. Let's empower them to change their world. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you some concrete solutions that could be put in action to change this game. Firstly, we need to leverage the power of e-learning. Many platforms have already transformed the educational landscape by providing quality education to millions. However, we need to take these a step further. Governments and non-governmental organizations should collaborate to subsidize internet access for underprivileged girls. Local communities can also set up learning hubs with computer facilities and internet connections where girls can have access to educational resources. Let's invest in teaching girls digital skills, whether it is coding, digital marketing, or graphic design. These skills not only provide girls with better jobs perspective, but also allow them to participate in the digital economy. One successful example of this is the Laboratoria program in Latin America that trains women in tech skills, leading to a significant impact on their lives and their communities. Thirdly, let's work on breaking down gender stereotypes in technology and encouraging more girls to pursue STEM fields. Initiatives such as Girls Who Code or Tech Girls can serve as inspiration. Schools should integrate technology and computer science into the curriculum from a young age and portray them as gender-neutral fields. And last, we know that we need to be able to build up a pool of skills even before people enter the workspace. We need to encourage vocations and promote projection. But to do this, we must be able to give the assurance that each and everyone will be welcomed without gender discrimination. We need to fight against stereotypes through working with textbook publishers, training and awareness raising on stereotypes, a moral, material, and financial support for young girls to encourage them invest in their studies in tech. We could implement targets for parity in scientific field. We have to connect young girls with role models, because role models are very important as they make impossible become possible. Let's not forget women like Ada Lovelace, Sister Mary Keller, Katherine Johnson, whose trajectory calculation enabled NASA spacecraft and astronaut to orbit the Earth and land on the moon, or even Heidi Lamar, who invented the Wi-Fi. It is with the help of everyone that we will be able to create a virtuous cycle and curb the skills shortage we are facing. It is time to walk the talk. The youngest generation are losing patience with all inequalities of all forms. They can't understand the rationale behind this situation for such a long time. If we are capable of building atomic bombs, creating vaccine to fight pandemic, and fly to the moon, we should be able to learn how to respect every living species on Earth. We are on a long journey towards human equality. The road is rough and the path steep, but every step brings us closer to our goal. A world where women are considered equals, where they have the same rights, opportunities, and they are respected as men. Ladies and gentlemen, let us remember, education is not just a right. It's a powerful tool for change. Let's use it to change the world. One girl, one boy, one man, and one woman at a time. We are going through a fascinating period of our humanity where many things need to be protected or rebuilt. The good news is that we are 100% responsible for what happens to us. So we have 100% chances of finding the solutions. If we put 100% of our intelligence and our energy into ensuring that every human being can live with respect and dignity, 100% of our efforts to fight racism, sexism, by educating and raising awareness, then together we will get there. Now, this is where you come in. Each and every one of us, as individuals, as members of society, can contribute to this transformative process. Sponsor a girl's education. Volunteer your time to teach digital skills. Advocate for policy changes. Use your influence and resources to break the barriers standing in the way of girls' education. Remember, each step taken is a life potentially transformed. Ladies and gentlemen, everywhere in the world, we are speaking about economic, political, environmental, and social crisis. But the biggest challenge we face today is our ability to learn to live with love and compassion. If we manage to teach ourselves and our boys and girls the power of love and compassion, we will manage to fix each and every problem we are facing in the world. I stand here filled with optimism. Despite the obstacles, I see change on the horizon. I see girls in Bangladesh attending school in higher numbers than never before. I see women in leadership roles making decisions that shape our world. But let's not stop here. Let's continue to strive for a world where every woman is empowered to learn, to grow and succeed. A world where every girl has the freedom to change her world, and in doing so, change ours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our call to action. Let's join hands and march toward in this journey towards gender equality. If not now, when? If not you, who? If not in the country of Amma, the country that has produced the larger number of goddesses, where? I thank you very much.
Merci, Madame la Ministre. This was very inspiring. You are an example of empowerment. Thank you for sharing your personal experience with us. As Amma says, the chair of C20, gender equality is like the two wings to a bird. If you have only one wing, you won't fly very far. So thank you so much for these inspiring words. Next, I'm very pleased and honored to welcome Dr. Nguyen Antoine. Dr. Nguyen Antoine is a visionary leader and co-founder of the Mikhail Dukakis Institute, the Boston Global Forum, and the AI World Society. As the founder, CEO, and first editor-in-chief of VietnamNet, Vietnam's premier online newspaper, he pioneered the country's online media and internet landscape. He is also co-founder of the Shinzo Abe Initiative for Peace and Security, and previously Dr. Tuan served on the Harvard Business School Global Advisory Board and chaired the International Advisory Committee of the UNESCO UCLA Chair on Global Learning and Global Citizenship Education. He was named Person of the Year in 2018 by Vietnam National Television for his pioneering initiative on AI government and the AI World Society. And this is just a very short introduction. Dr. Tuan, very pleased to have you here. The floor is yours. And I think you have some slides. Can the slides be prepared? They're ready? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My very dear friends here, I'm very honored to be here to talk with you today. And I'm very glad to introduce my dear friend, Alison Richards. We are together with me today, introduce a little bit about Boston Global Forum and our work, Gliders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tuan. Tuan is so humble, he didn't want to talk about his organization, so it falls on me. So thank you very much. The Boston Global Forum has a goal of meaningful innovation for one world toward an age of global enlightenment. Oh, the slides. Yeah, maybe, let's see, I can do that. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. And so I know some of us in a spiritual community might think of enlightenment as one thing, but when you think of the age of enlightenment, it was really an intellectual and philosophical movement that occurred in Western Europe in the late 17th and 18th centuries. The Enlightenment included a range of ideas that were really centered on values of happiness, the pursuit of knowledge, and obtained by means of reason, liberty, progress, and tolerance. So for the Boston Global Forum, this age of enlightenment is also largely defined by the potential given by AI, blockchain, and other digital age technologies. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about this distinguished organization. So it is a CSO, and Governor Michael Dukakis, former governor of Massachusetts, founded this with Mr. Tuan Nguyen. And they have some very distinguished people who are on the board. And so I wanted to mention there's 3 Harvard professors and 2 MIT professors here. Thomas Patterson, who's focused on political science and media at Harvard. John Quelch, who's a marketing guru at Harvard, professor in the business school. And David Silberswig, who's in the medical area, and he does neuroscience. And then there are also 2 MIT professors. Nazli Chukri, she's in cyber politics and international relations, and Alex Sandy Pentland, who does data sciences. So on the next slide, there's a number of global enlightenment leaders, and I hope you don't mind the enlightenment term in that way. But Ursula von der Leyen, who's the president of the European Commission, Ehud Barak, who's the former PM of Israel, Ban Ki-moon, who's the former Secretary General of the UN, Enrico Letta, former PM of Italy, Sauli Niinistö, who's the President of Finland, Andreas Norton, Speaker of the Swedish Parliament, Amandeep Gill, Undersecretary General and UN Envoy on Technology, as well as Dr. Vint Cerf, who's the father of the internet. He created the TCP/IP protocols and works at Google. And Vaira Vaiki Friberga, who's the 6th President of Latvia, Sanae Takaichi, Ministry of State for Economic Security of Japan, and Joseph Nye, Harvard University Distinguished Service Professor. And also, of course, the late Shinzo Abe, who's the former PM of Japan. So with that, I just wanted to hand it over to Tuan to be able to give his address, but give you a little background on the Boston Global Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To advance the slide, I can advance, or you can just tell me next slide.
So thank you, Alexander, very kind. Elizabeth talked very much and very wonderful about how technology change and empower. So I will focus on how we do. And here is an initiative of Boston Global Forum. I don't want to repeat, but we focus on AI or society. UN wanted a social contract for the AI age. Many people talk about AI today in many forums, and we worry about that. But from 2017, Governor Michael Dukakis and Boston Global Forum, we have recognized this challenge and threat. So we think to manage, to govern this purpose, challenge, threat, we need to build a new model for society with deep applied AI and IT. We name AI or society, AIWS. And after some year, 2019, the United Nations and Boston Global Forum collaborate. We found the United Nations Centennial Initiative with AI and how to reinvent the United Nations, how to reinvent the world with AI, with good thing for humanity, for human being. And so we name that is the Age of Global Enlightenment. So please, next slide. Next slide. This is I'm very honored and thank you for Goliath, our partner, our new initiative, of C20 work together in this mission. Today, there are many of my dear friends here. Please, next slide. Yes, this is the, we introduced the book we published 2021. Every concept about AI with society, because any new society, we have model, we have concept for as social contract for the age, we have for concept for politics, economy, society, culture, education, and this all in it, and we don't have time to talk too much, so if you like and interested, we will exchange and discuss more future. Please. Next slide, thank you. And with AI or society, it's a concept for new society, and we are very honored to contribute for G7 Summit 2019 in French at that time. And for practice, we build and found AIWSCT. This is one model. And AIWSCT, we try to make a model to practice and apply our concept, our ideas from AI or society. That we make the age of global enlightenment. And we do with global enlightenment cities, global enlightenment university. We try to make practice in that. You can see, I don't want to take more time. Next slide. And how we can collaborate and work, I think most important is action and practice. And Boston Global Forum, we work with GLIDE at C20 Summit, and we are very honored and respect at my spiritual values of AMA. And we think technology and humanity, human being, and the heart from AMA value, joy, we build new society. And just for my and I have to say many things. This time, the first time I met with AMA, but I think for a long time, for long years ago, we, Boston Global Forum, and I myself, think and follow and work with that concept and model. So how and why we set up AIWS, and we are very honored to work together for future from now, and I think we do very, very much for this mission for future. And we will connect with global enlightenment universities. You can see our community, we have global enlightenment community include leaders. You see already that very much involved and contribute in the book. And also distinguished professor from many wonderful universities at Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, and yes, you can see, we don't want to say more. But not only that university, that all our university, all of you, this is our time, this war is your war. We build it, AIWS city, and we build the war, build the new war with our thinking, our wish for the best future. And this is the first step, and we are very honored to work with Amrita University. We discussed with our college here. We will do very much from next year. We build Tech Economy Alliance for Age of Global Enlightenment, because this is a tech time, tech age. We need to build new model of economy with tech, with AI, with cybersecurity, with data science and blockchain. So we think and we have ideas to build the first phase that the 10 countries for new alliance in technology, include US, EU, UK, Japan, India, Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, Vietnam, Philippines, 10 first, but not only 10. We expand, and any citizen, any CSO can join, can do with us, and this is our mission, our road here. So, next slide. And yeah, we talked already, and so please, next. So how we can do with Global South? The first, we start with India, the hub, a center of Global South, from CSO here, from Amrita University, from our friend here, and we connect with our alliance economy, and we have global enlightenment community support. Please, next slide. So, the final, we have some slide. The first, recently, yesterday, Boston Global Forum analyzed, we very honored to announce published report, special report to contribute for C20 Summit and G20. And that is the cover with our ideas. That is for action, for CSO, citizen. We together to oversight AI, because President Bill Clinton recently, last week, talked at the White House with big tech company that is need to manage and governance. But who is manage and monitor? We are citizen and CSO do that, and we have initiative for that. And also we have new solution to manage AI with new framework, new concept. AI now make very dangerous and headache. We have concept from group from MIT and Silicon Valley, very new, combined between AI, human collective brain, intellectual, together with machine, with computer, with technology, to make the AI power enlightenment framework, that is solution for new AI. But this is a very big opportunity for all of us today to leapfrog, to build new world with AI with society. So we will better with AI with this framework. So this is very much we cannot say in this time. So thank you so much. Next slide. This is see you in C20 in Indonesia and Brazil 2024. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tuan, for these inspiring words. It's not only about talking, it's about doing. It's about action, and you exemplify that. And of course, digital transformation has been a main theme of C20, in which human-centered design has been very much at the center of our work and reflection. So very happy to see this taken forward to your work as well. Last but not least, I'm very pleased and honored to introduce Dr. Niklaus Samuel Gugge, Dr. Nick, as we commonly call him. So Dr. Nick is a member of the Swiss Parliament since 2017. He's an expert on educational policies and specialist in vocational training in particular, which is a strong feature of the Swiss education system, as you may be knowing. He is a member of the Council of Europe, the president of the Swiss Indian Parliamentary Group, and holds several board member mandates in different industrial and civil service sectors. Prior to his political career, and this is quite unique, he worked as a social worker for street children in Colombia and held several positions for youth social work in the canton of Zurich. He is the global ambassador for KIIT University Bhubaneswar and the first Indian to serve in Swiss Parliament. As a Swiss citizen, actually I'm proud, and I would like to add that Dr. Nick is quite an outstanding and an unusual member of Parliament, serving as a bridge builder, not only between Switzerland and India, but also in the different positions as they emerge in Parliament. And he really represents and speaks out of experience, representing the most vulnerable strata of population. That being said, Dr. Nick, the floor is yours.
Karam. Good morning, dear friends from all over the world. Honorable dignitaries, Ms. Elizabeth Moreno, Mr. Dr. Tuan Nguyen, Dr. Jos Monks, and Ms. Aj Maftuhan, the two hosts for us this morning. Thanks a lot. So, as an abandoned child, I got adopted and empowered by a Swiss couple and became the first native Indian in the Swiss Parliament, as you heard from Dr. Jost. It's my great pleasure and honor to talk to you today on education and empowerment. However, first, I would like to thank the C20 Educational Working Group for inviting me. That's not self-evident. Especially Mother Amma, Dr. Prema, and Swamiji for the arrangements and support and making it possible that I am physically here today. As you know, I'm a politician, so I think you have the time for the next 2 hours. Joking. In the next few minutes, I would like to share my humble thoughts with you. Education is one of the major keys to success in life. Education is a unique power. Everything can be taken from someone, but whatever you have learned will stay with you. When you meet someone new, most likely the second question you will be asked are, what you do? What is your background? This shows how much importance society puts on the matter. However, for some people, education is given to them completely free and accessible, like in Switzerland. And my dream is that we have this possibility all over the world. Unfortunately, this is not the case for everyone in this world. The recent COVID pandemic has brought a lot of suffering. However, it has also shown the benefit and technological possibilities in the educational sector. In Switzerland, for example, almost every school transformed their classrooms into digital ones and created distant learning possibilities within days of the start of the first lockdown. This shows that the problem in today's world are not the technical limitations anymore, but the problem of accessibility remains. So, how we can change that? In my opinion, empowerment is one key to accessibility. Empowerment is the process of becoming more resilient and capable of achieving more. I overcame many hurdles in my life. Maybe most of you agree that the shadow in our life sometimes is very strong and we search the sunlight. So, it elevates both individuals and communities. When people achieve self-empowerment, they affect those around them. They become models of what's possible, inspiring others to find their own path to self-empowerment. they also have a greater capacity to contribute to their communities. For example, the achievements of a first-generation colleagues graduates can inspire others who would be the first in their family to pursue higher education, and first-generation graduates are uniquely equipped to support and guide those students. However, I would like to also highlight that a higher education is not always the only key to success. Did you agree? As you may know, in Switzerland, we have the vocational training track. This means you do not go to university to become a mechanic, but you get an excellent practical training on the job, as well as in a professional vocational school. I am one example for that. I will show you now how I overcame my struggles. Imagine I was in high school and I was bored from studying through books. My father, a wise man, sat me down and said, "Son, you have to learn to work with your hands." He had realized that my hobby, which was repairing motorcycles and bikes, could also become my profession. He animated me to search for a vocational training job. My father was the last technical principal here in India in NTTF, Netto Technical Training Foundation in Kerala, where Amma lives. So there are no coincidences in life. What is a vocational training job? Vocational education and training impart the skills and knowledge needed to work in a given occupation. For example, a 4-year vocational education training program leads to a well-respected higher federal diploma. And if you want to be a millionaire, I tell you in Switzerland, start a career as a gardener or as a mechanical. That's no joke. That's true. In most of the world, countries all over the world, the parents think kids have to go to university. Totally fake. My best friend in Switzerland is a humble gardener, but he drives a Porsche. And he gave me work when I was a student. I was, as a student then, working for him in the cemetery as a gardener. And I was the big boss over 400 very silent clients. So, you got it, a federal diploma. The Federal Vocational and Professional Education and Training Act provides for a number of opportunities ranging from regulated and structured procedures for vocational groups to individuals' qualifications procedures. So in my case, I studied mechanics in a combination with receiving a professional schooling 2 days per week and 3 days practical training in a mechanical high-precision company. After 4 years, I graduated as a professional mechanic. However, after completing my vocational education, I was nevertheless still able to also complete a degree on a university level. And that's the chance. And that's my goal, to go as a keynote speaker all over the world, to train the people, to train the teacher, to train you as father and mother. Believe in your kids, and your kid will do the best. So, I completed a degree at the university level. I joined the University of Applied Science in Zurich and graduated with a master's degree after that in social work and social management. and many others studied. That was my base for my further studies. The base was my mechanical training. I learned to grind. You understand? Grinding in a precision way. I learned to be precise, focused, first over my hands, and not only by books. Switzerland's tradition is in a vocational training represents a mindset where actual performance and productivity matters more than just degrees and certificates. Studies confirmed that a great part of Switzerland's success in the precision industry and related sectors are rooted in the strong vocational training curriculum and culture that integrates the government, industry, parents, and education institutions. It allows people with all kinds of the talents to combine the often manual skills with the theoretical knowledge they need to perform at the top of their respective profession. Although many initiatives of the Swiss industry and government have been implemented in other countries, there is still a lot that can be done to benefit from the lessons learned of the past and scale up successful initiatives to contribute to their economic and social development of their respective country. And allow me a small example. Just now, I'm involved in the free trade agreement between EFTA, that means Switzerland, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. And what is the wish also from India? That we come for educational trainings. Here, that we make these vocational trainings, that we make the possibilities, and as I mentioned, this is my dream for every country all over the world. To sum up, vocational education deserves a lot more credit from which our society would also benefit from. A few important topics. A few important topics for policymakers for education to consider are, in my opinion, better access to technology for education, so in rural areas, distant learning is possible. Amrita University, which I met many times, has some great success stories in this area, thanks to Amma. As better inclusion for people with disabilities to get equal access to education, and making sure that women get same access to education as a man. So how can we successfully transform goals like this into reality? Platforms like C20 are a great opportunity for people and organizations which experience what the civil society needs. It is important for politicians what the issues are, not only on a theoretical level, but also first-hand. I therefore urge my respected colleagues to go out into the world and to see the suffering and obstacles firsthand. I believe only then the urgency for change becomes the priority it should be. Coming to the end, during my time as a social worker in Colombia, South America, when working with street children, I received a different education that helped me become the person I am today. Spoiled coming from a privileged country, I was shocked to see the condition these children had to endure. Getting a good or any education was not even their main priority, but simply to survive. I believe it's our duty as citizens of this world to support those in need and for policy decision makers such as myself to do everything in our power to end inequality. However, the traditional ways of education our children are not the only aspect to consider. As Amma, the C20 chair, says,
Our educational system needs to give equal importance to the intellect and heart. And I couldn't agree more. That's why I call my personal advisory company Heart Power House. I would therefore like to conclude my speech about a thought named kindness. Kindness. Yes, kindness is my keyword these days. We live in a difficult time. Acts of kindness are demonstrations of love, passion and compassion, warmth, care and affection. But they are so much more than just goodwill. Random acts of kindness can be the highlight of someone's day, a memory that lasts a lifetime, or a lifeline for someone drowning in a sea of pain. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Carry the torch of kindness with you wherever you go. Blaze all trails of kindness, so bright and beautiful that inspires others to follow just as Amma does. Let the brilliant light of our kindness illuminate the good that exists in the world. Be kind to yourself and to others because life is too short and you are too special to not use what you have been given to some good in this world. I would like to conclude my speech today in the words of the G20 motto, praying that it will come true one day, that we truly are one global family, one world with one positive future. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness, Dr. Nick. Actually, you exemplified one of the key themes that we've developed under Amma's inspiration for C20, that is education for a life and education for a living. Education for a life imparts a culture of the heart, and it reflects what you also said. It's education is not only about the head, but it's also about the hands, and in particular about the heart. So thank you so much for illustrating this so well, Dr. Nick. Thanks so much. So we're coming to an end, and before we would like to thank the speakers and give a token of appreciation. Mafutan, please, a few concluding remarks. Thank you so much. Wherever you are.
Okay. Once again, a big applause to all speakers. And our co-host, Dr. Mong. From Honorable Minister Moreno, we learned about the importance of gender equity in our society, especially in our education. So, equitable access to education is important because knowledge can be weapon. It's strong message child from the former African leader Nelson Mandela. So we can use knowledge as tool, as weapon to change society, to change a woman's life, and to influence the transformation of our life. So gender equality in education still happen in many countries, but we can use digital technology to tackle gender equality. So education is not only rights, but also weapon to make change. It's a strong message also from Excellency Nguyen An Thuan that we need to put a spirituality in technology. We need to strengthen collaboration between CSO and universities to bring the spiritual technology. So yesterday we have spiritual democracy. Today we have spiritual technology. So it is important that we have a role of technology in our spirituality. The last one, Dr. Guger, our honorable member of parliament from Switzerland, emphasizing that vocational training is needed because technical and vocational education and training will provide common people set of skill, set of knowledge that they will more easier to get occupational job in our life, in our society. So let's end of a classic debate that applied science not equal with the core of science. So technical issues is also important compared with the basic issues or a basic science. So let's put together the education and training, the vocation and education as one our concern, and let's making sure that our education and training equitable for all citizens across the globe. Thank you so much, and once again, applause to all of us here. Over to Mong to close the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Maftuhan. Thanks. So we come to an end. Thank you very much. And as a token of our appreciation, may I please invite the team to hand over a short token. So first of all, Nick, please stand up. Would you please kindly stand up? Dr. Niklas Gugler. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Switzerland. And we look forward to continuing our conversations and our work together. Dr. Nguyen Antoine, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to working with you. And finally, Madame le Ministre Elisabeth Moreno, it has been a great honor and pleasure to have you with us. The next session will start in a few minutes. And also thank you so much for the sign language translation. We very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.